Here we are in our new RD chunk, and the general store is everything that I could have hoped for. They sell an iron axe, which is going to be amazing as that unlocks wood cutting and fletching as well if I want to train those skills. In the chat box you can see the prices of all the items. I will now be selling all of my items from the previous chunks one at a time and keep a few in the bank just in case that I need them for something. So after selling all of my iron daggers, bronze square shields and gold necklaces, this is the cash tag at the moment, almost 6k, which is a lot and will get me a lot of good stuff. The gold necklaces ended up being excellent as they were worth a lot of money each one. And after going on a big spending spree, this is our current bank. I did end up buying a lot of different items and a lot of ropes and balls of wool because I don't really know if I'll get an opportunity to get them again. So I have to take advantage and try and buy everything that I might need in the next a lot of chunks, because I have been very lucky so far, but the luck can turn at any moment and I might not get a general store for a while. And here we are ready to start the sheep herder quest, which will actually be the first quest that I can start, and I actually think that we might be able to do a few steps where we need to talk to someone close to the church, but very exciting to finally get a quest started, although it might not be the most useful one. So here we are about to finish the chunk. I will be getting a thieving level on this woman that I found upstairs here because I really want to get my thieving level up. It's a very good way to get some money and at some point maybe some more useful items as well. So this is a very nice opportunity instead of the other skills that I had available. And here is the quest list. I did manage to start 3 different quests. I couldn't progress any of them very much. And I did manage to get 3 diary tasks in Adogen and 1 more in the wilderness, which is enter the wilderness from the Adogen or Edgewill liver. So kind of funny that I could do this here after being in the wilderness for 2 whole chunks without being able to do it. So I will start pickpocketing and we'll see how much money we get for 1 thieving level. Probably not that much. Wow, this is some insane RNG actually for a level 1 pickpocketing. And here we go, level 2 thieving, very nice. Not that much money yet, we only got 33 coins from it because the level was so quick, but at some point in the future we will be able to get a lot more per level. And here we are back in the chunk map, so let's remove this chunk and let's do the random start again and see which chunk we get this time. I am very curious to see if we keep getting very good chunks with a lot of content or if we will at some point run into something where there's not that much to do. So let's take a look. That's current. I'll have to figure out if I actually can't get there. I think that I can just take the boat. So another interesting chunk possibly. I'm not sure what content there is in here. I see some ores and I have a pickaxe, so it might be a mining level. So nice. So here we are in the mine, ready to get our level in this chunk. This is where the chunk zooming is really about to start. I did expect the series to go a little bit more like this in the beginning, where it would be a lot of chunks very quickly. All that there was to do in this chunk was pick up a few items, which I'll show you in a minute, where I'll put the bank on the screen. I did decide to mine clay instead of copper or tin, as I think crafting will be harder to train in the future, so I can use the clay to make soft clay, which I can use to train crafting hopefully at some point, which would be very nice. So here is the bank at the moment. I did buy a few extra things in the RD chunk before I got the thieving level, just in case I will need them. And the most recent items are the latest one in the bank, so I did manage to pick up a lot of pickaxes and a hammer, which is very nice if I want to train smithing at some point. I didn't have a hammer before. Some seaweed and a holy mold, which I don't know if I'll use. And the 2 needles I got from a haystack in RD as well. And with level 2 mining from the clay rock, we are ready to roll another chunk. This is where the chunk zooming really begins. I'll try not to yap too much while rolling the chunks to not make it so long if we end up getting a lot of chunk rolls, because I think we will really start rolling now. I did get 2 chunks which I couldn't access. You can see the IDs down here in the bottom right. I won't show every time I roll a chunk that I cannot access, so if you are really curious you can look up the ID and see which one it was. So if you see some new numbers down here, which I haven't mentioned in the video, it's because I rolled a chunk that I could not access. Because all of the islands up here, for example, are still rollable, so I might get them and I cannot go there without having completed a quest. So let's see what we get this time. Isle of Souls. I definitely think that that should be possible to access. So I'll see you in game. So here we are ready to get our very first woodcutting level on the account. This chunk didn't really have much apart from the cave, where we found some blue dragonhide scales, which you can see here in the current bank. So I will be getting a woodcutting level as well. The clips will probably start getting a lot shorter now, because if we start rolling chunks one after the other, I don't want to be yapping too much, so I just want to speed up the clips to be able to give a little more content instead of me yapping all the time. So if you see some very quick clips, like me getting a level for example, or a very quick chunk roll, it's just that there wasn't really anything interesting to say. And let's go, let's see what we get. Tree Gnome Stronghold, very interesting. And here we are doing some agility training in the new chunk, and this was a very lucky roll, as I think this is one of the only very few agility training methods available at level 1, so very lucky to roll this one. Here is the bank. This chunk was very interesting as it also had a farming shop, so I managed to pick up some farming supplies. It's very possible that I will get a lot of farming levels by raking weeds in the future, as it is a very easy training method that doesn't require me to have anything apart from a rake and an herb patch. There was a lot of flags in this chunk, but I only picked up 28. I didn't really think that it would be fair to pick up 28 for every single flag spawn, since that kinda goes against the purpose of this challenge, so I limited myself to 28 flags as well, and I bought the spiny helmet, which will be a best in slot once I can wear it at level 5 defense. The Slayer shop sold a lot of other different Slayer armor and stuff, but all of them required a pretty high Slayer level compared to my level 1, and it will be almost impossible for me to train Slayer, so I only bought the spiny helmet. And here I got level 2 agility, and this was actually a very interesting situation where I got a mark of grace while completing the lab and getting level 2 agility, which means that since I got the level, I am forced to leave the chunk and I cannot interact with anything in this chunk anymore, so I was not able to go back up and pick up the mark of grace. And here we go, let's see what we get this time. That doesn't look like a very interesting chunk. And level 2 defense. And let's see what we get this time. It's a corner of Soul Island. So this is our Soul Wars chunk, and as you can see we only have like 5 trees or something like that. For this level, woodcutting level is going to be very quick. But this is what I was talking about, that at some point the series will end, as I will have no more ways of getting XP. I can see that the bird enters this chunk as well. I don't know if you actually can attack it, I think you can. But if you imagine that I already had max combat stats, and woodcutting and fletching and firemaking, then this would be the end of the series, because there really isn't anything else to do in this chunk. So that's why I'm trying to prioritize stats that aren't easy to train in every single chunk. So woodcutting and combat stats are like the lowest priority when I have something else available, because the series will end in a chunk like this at some point. I was very lucky in the beginning that I rolled a lot of good chunks with a lot of different content, but I am bound to roll a lot of these empty chunks as well. And let's see what we get this time. Current. That might be interesting. It's not the library, but it might be interesting. It turned out to not be an interesting chunk at all. There were some higher level NPCs, but it doesn't really make sense to try and kill anything because they have too much HP, so I'll get a level and be forced to move on before I get a chance to kill them. So I ended up training woodcutting once again. And apparently when you cut down these dead trees burned, they will give charcoal instead of logs. I did not know that at all. So once again, let's see what we get this time. That's not an interesting chunk either. So here I am in the desert. I probably will make an exception to buy the Shantai pass, although I said that I couldn't interact with anything outside of my chunk. This is definitely not to my advantage, but if not, the entire desert would be locked. I will allow myself to get the Shantai pass, and once I enter the desert, I will be on a timer. So now we just need to get as quickly as we possibly can down to our chunk, and then we need to get a level in there to allow us to roll another chunk. So let's start burning some logs as fast as possible, and let's get away from that jackal which is hunting us. Please. Oh my god, I would love not to lose the log. It's out of range. That's level 2 firemaking. I will allow myself to pick up my own log, although it technically shouldn't count. So that's it. And I died. That's perfect. And let's see what we get this time. Same chunk. That's kinda crazy. And here is level 3 strength. And let's see what we get this time. Yanil, that might actually be very nice. And here we are ready to get our level in the Yanil chunk, which will be a thieving level. I will pick thieving again, although we had a lot of interesting opportunities here, because a high thieving level would be very nice, as it will allow me to collect a lot of different items at a higher level. And this is the bank at the moment. A lot of new items, but most interestingly a lot of hunter items, as I could reach the hunter store within this chunk. Which means that I will be able to train hunter if I roll a chunk with a level 100 training method. So that was very nice, as hunter will be a very difficult skill to train, but I might get lucky at some point and roll one of the chunks. So let's see what we get this time, hopefully something interesting again. Before the Yanil chunk I did get a lot of empty chunks, which is pretty much a waste, as I do have a limited amount of levels available. So it's pretty bad when I get that many chunks in a row where I can only train combat or woodcutting, as those are the skills that I will always be able to train. So something like thieving in the Yanil chunk was very nice, so let's hope for something good like that again. I don't think that counts as good. That's probably Amelia or woodcutting chunk again. So here I just managed to catch this team cape seller just inside my chunk, just on the border, and I wanted to buy a team cape. It does have a bit of stats, so it's a new best in slot, and if I wear it out here in the wilderness, it will be a diary task as well, so that's very nice. And here we are just about to get the woodcutting level, which will be level 5 woodcutting. I did end up picking 28 coins. There are a few coin spawns out here, but I wanted to change the rule with me being able to pick up 28 instances of each one, as I don't really like that rule. I think it would be easier to just pick up 21 of each item in each chunk. So if there are like 20 spawns, it doesn't matter, I can pick up 28. So I will drop all of this gold ore, which I got in the first chunk. It is the only item where I managed to get more than 28 in the same chunk, as there were like 4 spawns or 5 spawns or something like that. So new rule, 28 items of each kind per chunk. That's easier as well. And here we go. That's level 5 woodcutting. And we really are zooming through these chunks, so let's see what we get this time. Fishing trawler, that's very close to the Janil one that we just had. And while preparing to get our next level, which will be level 3 mining, I will show the bank rapidly, as we did get a few new items. We had our very first charter ship, and there was a general store selling a few new items as well. So I did manage to pick up a fishing rod, which I can't use until level 5 fishing, and I don't have any fishing bait either, and a lobster pot. They might come in handy at some point. Maybe the shears will actually be more important, as they can be used to get some wool, which I can use to train crafting. So a few new items, kinda interesting. And here is level 3 mining. So let's see which chunk we get this time. Piscatorius fishing colony. I think that I can actually just reach the bottom part, so I'll have to take a look in game if there's actually a way to get XP in there or not. So here we are in the Piscatorius fishing colony chunk, and unfortunately for me with my current rule set, I can actually get XP in this chunk since there are all of these trees, which means that I will have to get a woodcutting level in here, and I cannot just skip the level. And here is level 6 woodcutting, which is our highest skill so far. And here we are back in the chunk picker, so let's see what we get this time. Another Isle of Soul chunk. I don't think I have ever been down here, so let's see what's actually down here. Okay, so here we are in the chunk, and I am waiting for one of these imps to get into my chunk. I think that they might be able to. I've seen them get very close to the border. I did pick up some of the seaweed and some knives down here from the beach, and if the imps don't come in here, I can kill sand crabs. But I am hoping that I can get an imp to walk in here, because they have less HP, and I haven't been able to kill anything so far, as I get a level before I manage to do enough damage. So an imp that has less HP, I might actually be able to kill, and I will get my first prayer XP, for example. So I'll see. If I manage to catch one, I'll show you. But for now, I'll run around along this border and wait for an imp to get in here. Ooh, that was close. That was very close. But I'll see if they actually do walk all the way in here. I think they might. Come on. This one might actually... There we go. I think I got it. Yes. Yes. That's nice. We got it. So now it just needs to not teleport. I did manage to attack a few actually, but they just teleported away instantly. But this might actually be... We might actually have a chance here. 3 more HP. 2 more HP. It doesn't teleport this time. Let's see. Come on. This would be a very nice kill. We might even get a beat. That would be nice. One more. Nice. We actually got it. Let's see what it drops. Oh, it did. A yellow beat. It actually did drop one. Wow. And our very first prayer XP as well. And the beat is very nice. It could be our new best in slot amulet if for some reason we do manage to get all 4 beats. I doubt it, but wow. I can't believe that I actually managed to kill one without getting a level. I was just watching back the last clip out, and out the corner of my eye I just saw this imp walking around in here in the middle of the chunk. So let's see if we cannot get another kill. I think that I have just enough XP left to actually kill another imp before we get a defense level. So I could switch to attack, but I would rather just get the level. There are probably more useful things to kill at some point. But let's see what we get. It might be something good. Another beat maybe. Let's see. Ah, a blue wizard head. That's a new best in slot for mage. Wow. That's very lucky with those 2 drops. And it actually has some nice stats and it looks very nice as well. Very nice. I'll probably just be killing a sand crab for the last 2 hits I think that we have left. And then we'll roll a new chunk. And here we go, level 3 defense. And here we are back in the chunk picker. I would love to get a chunk where I can train something that isn't woodcutting or one of my combat skills, as we are spending a lot of our woodcutting and combat levels right now. So something with a little bit more content would be very nice. But let's see what we get. That does not look like a lot more content. But there is a cave, and I'm not sure which cave it is, but we'll have a look. In the end I couldn't enter the cave, so really no content in this chunk at all. So here is level 7 woodcutting. And once again another chunk where we had to train woodcutting, as there pretty much was no other content in there at all. So I would really like to start getting some more chunks where we could train pretty much anything apart from woodcutting and combat stats. So we will cross our fingers. But here we are ready to roll again. Let's see what we get this time. Desert. I don't think there's anything there. Maybe something to kill and more woodcutting with the cactuses, but not great. So here we are ready to get back into the desert, and I had to buy another desert pass, so these chunks are very bad as they will make me spend money as well, which I won't really get any use out of. So let's run. Hopefully we can dodge the camels and the wolves. I'm going to be training fire making again, as it is probably the fastest skill that I have available. Please don't attack me. There we go. Level 3 fire making, and we'll be able to get back out of the desert because I really don't like it here. And that's it for this episode. Here we are with all of the equipable items that we have available to us at this moment. So I'm not exactly sure what to say about this outfit. It definitely is something. And if you have made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. And if you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe. It really does make me very happy. And this episode went a lot more like how I imagined this series to be, and why I gave it the name Chunk Zoomer, as we were really zooming through a lot of different chunks, especially here early game. Once we get deeper into the account, I expect it to be a weird mix of some levels being very quick if I, for example, get a way to train agility as hunter or something like that, as those levels will probably stay very low. But once I get a high woodcutting level, those levels will take a very long time, so we might get to a point where it's a weird mix of very quick chunks and some very long ones. It also was quite obvious that we did get a lot of empty chunks, so it really is important to take every single opportunity that I get to train something that's not a combat stat or woodcutting. I have mentioned it a lot of times, but it is getting really obvious as well that we will get to a point where we can only train woodcutting and combat stats in a chunk and there is nothing else to train. Hopefully we'll get a few more chunks where we will be able to train something else as well, because we are getting very loop-sided towards woodcutting right now. But that's all for this video, so once again, thank you very much for watching.